Well, it's been a few weeks since I last did a good debunking video. I wonder if they're still stupid on the internet.
Interstellar, a simple, elegant movie about a farmer, his family, a bunch of dust, and a transdimensional interstellar quantum gravitational space travel adventure. Seriously.
Oh, shit!
So the basis of this movie is that in the future, the Earth has become a global dust bowl due to humanity being excessive. It's largely a commentary on monoculture farming, which we've explored in our food series.
Oh, Jordan. I'm gonna ignore your technobabble at the beginning because science fiction is full of technobabble, so I'll excuse that. What I won't excuse is your fucking fictitious ideas as to why they were having problems with agriculture in this movie. In the movie, there was a new disease that had sprung up that had attacked all our cultivated crops. This disease was like a blight on these crops. It was causing them to wither and die. In fact, the only crop that was resistant to this was corn. So there were lots and lots of corn farms everywhere. And the corn itself had started to become less resistant as the disease itself had evolved. Whilst this may be a product of our farming techniques, in that we overfarm so there's more opportunity for the disease to evolve, it wasn't a problem with not putting nutrients back in the soil or our monoculture or anything like that. It had to do with a new disease coming up. In much the same way as coronavirus is a new disease that is now affecting humans, this was a disease within the movie that was affecting our agriculture. How about we stick to some facts here, Jordan? I mean, I know it's only a science fiction movie, but you don't have to try to create your own sort of fiction to go over the top of it to sell your woo-woo.
Essentially, by farming the same thing on the same land over and over, you lose the majority of your nutrient base due to lack of plant diversity. You also lose a strong foundational root system.
It's good to have a strong foundational root system.
Making it easy for winds to pick up and throw dirt for miles and miles. It's like Christmas in July with sand, dust, and sometimes chunks of cardboard. Interstellar begins with this warning. If we continue living the way that we are, this could be our world.
Well, technically anything could be our future world. I mean, we don't know. There's lots of shit that could happen in the future. We could have a major disease that wipes out crops. We could have major dust bowls because there's so much dead vegetation. There could be an awful lot of dead us and not enough places to make graves, and we could have big funeral pyres and mass graves everywhere. Anything could happen. But this is fiction. This isn't real. This is a science fiction movie, and while science fiction can sometimes be prophetic, it's not always. Sometimes it's just entertainment. And just because the director decided they wanted to make some sort of moralistic statement in their movie doesn't mean this is something you have to take as a warning for our future. You want real warnings for our future? Go and listen to some climate change scientists. Go and listen to scientists in general. Don't listen to Hollywood. Don't listen to the woo peddlers. And certainly don't listen to fucking Jordan.
So the film introduces us to our main characters, Cooper, or Coop for short, and his daughter Murphy, or Murph. Now, there's an interesting thing in these opening scenes, where we see Murph's teacher talking to Coop about his daughter's progress in school. She remarks about how the moon landings were fake, entirely propaganda from the US government in order to fool the Soviets into pouring their resources into a space program so that the Americans could gain an advantage in the war.
My God, Jordan, you can't even watch movies right. The premise depicted in the movie was that society had gone in such a direction that the US government had started bolstering up conspiracy theories about the past to control its population. So the government was putting forward a conspiracy theory that the moon landings never happened and that NASA faked them so they could start discrediting science to gain control of the populace and try and manage the population. They were spreading disinformation. It was a example of what happens when governments want to spread disinformation to control their public in similar sort of fashion to how Nazi Germany did during the Second World War. The movie was not saying that they were saying that the moon landings were fake. It was saying that the government was saying it was fake because the government had become corrupt and immoral. Two entirely different things. This is not NASA showing out your fake moon landings. This is you being a dunce ignoramus who can't movie correctly.
It's so interesting seeing a Hollywood movie talk about this, because of course if you Google this, there's massive conspiracies today that say the moon landing was fake. Then again, we also have ex-NASA officers and astronauts who publicly have said, basically, yeah, we went up there and met a bunch of aliens, and it was so crazy that NASA hid it from the world.
Not one NASA astronaut has ever said they went to the moon and saw aliens. For God's sake, Jordan, stop telling bullshit.
And we never went back.
This argument always makes me giggle. It's like, oh, we never went back, so we obviously didn't go. What a load of absolute twaddle, Jordan. There were six moon landings which involved people walking on the moon. There were numerous other slingshots around the moon, including the almost deadly failure of Apollo 13. Plus, there were numerous other launches to the moon by foreign powers to the US like Russia and more recently Japan and India. All these countries who have sent missions to the moon. And that's forgetting all the missions that have gone to other places in the solar system. All the other beautiful imagery we get back from other places. We have been to space. We have been to the moon. We were in the middle of a fucking Cold War when the moon landings happened. If America had not done it, the Russians would have known. And they would have made a fucking laughingstock of NASA and the American government. This conspiracy theory is dead in the fucking water, and I can't believe you are rabbiting it. Well, no, I can believe you're rabbiting it, because you go down every fucking rabbit hole. You are so mixed up in the things you believe that I'm surprised you are able to have anything resembling a coherent conversation. Oh my God, you don't have coherent conversations, do you? You truly do not have coherent conversation.
Now, you can learn more about that in our Sumerian Epic series. Ultimately, you have to decide for yourself on this one.
I have decided for myself, and I've decided that you, Jordan, are a great big numpty head, and you should stop pushing your woo at your audience and the public in general.
But still, interesting that we see it mentioned in Hollywood.
In a fictional fucking movie! And not in the way that you think it is mentioned. Damn it, Jordan. You really are the lowest common denominator.
Now, in many storylines today, we see this narrative of the hero's journey, which often begins with a call to adventure. Interstellar features this through strange gravitational anomalies vibrating Morse code patterns in Murph's bedroom, which Coop and Murph translate to be coordinates to a nearby location. They make their way there and find none other than NASA. In this movie, NASA is a driving force of the plot, providing the technology and the plans to execute a journey into a wormhole way out near Saturn. Now, I'm not here to get into the drama and conspiracies against or for NASA, though certainly these exist out on the internet.
You're not here to get into the dramas and the conspiracies around NASA, and yet you just spent God knows how long going on about moon hoaxes. And how NASA is a hoax, and how astronauts saw aliens on the moon. Fuck's sake, Jordan! Have you got no short-term memory as well?
Curiously, we even find a spiritual lesson about this in the film itself, and we'll come back to that soon.
Hang on, you think there's a spiritual lesson about conspiracy theories? So conspiracy theories are spiritual things? No. Conspiracy theories are dipshit things made by people who are dumb as fuck.
In these scenes, we see the opposing mentality of the many versus the few. Almost everyone in this future world are just concerned with farming. They're focused on survival and just getting enough to make it through to the next season, even though their crops are slowly growing smaller and smaller. The few, on the other hand, such as Coop, exclaim, "We used to be pioneers, explorers, adventurers, not just trying to survive." And this becomes a question we can personally ask ourselves. Are we pushing the boundaries of what we know, or are we just trying to get by in life? So with the discovery of NASA, we learn about this wormhole, a link through the space-time into another galaxy where there might just be a way to save their dying species.
A link through the space-time to another galaxy. Oh, Gordon Bennett, Jordan. Look, I know you love your woo, and I know that you really want to try and find something spiritual in this movie to point to tell your fans that, hey, buy my merchandise. But come on. It is just a movie. Your whole premise of the many and the few isn't particularly applicable here. Because the whole purpose of NASA in this is, although they've been discredited by their government so that the government control the people, the government is still financing these developments because they also recognize that NASA and the scientists that can do space travel might be the only way of surviving, especially with this wormhole out there. So it's not a many versus a few. It's the few who are capable trying to save the many. It's not an us and them story. It really isn't. It's a story about hardship and survival. And yes, I can agree that there's a bit of a hero story here, as most things have the hero story in it. It's a compelling narrative that we like to see as humans. But damn it, Jordan, you ain't off clutching at straws here.
And so, Coop, Anne Hathaway, and two other characters who don't make it to the end all get in a rocket ship and blast off into the universe with the intention of saving the human race, bringing with them some unique and friendly robots and a bunch of test tube humans that they plan on growing somewhere. And their intention is that if they can, maybe they can even transport some people to their new homeworld. Perhaps one of the most fundamental hidden spiritual truths of this movie is that the deeper you get into science, into the unknown, into the universe, the more mystical reality gets.
No, just no, Jordan. There is no extra mystical thing because we've learned more science. We learn more science, and as we've learned more things about the universe, the area for mystical shit seems to shrink. And your little mysticism of the gaps has less and less space to fit in as we learn more of the science. Science good, mysticism imaginary. There is no mystical, deep, woo-woo meaning to this movie. It's just a feel-good, science fiction-y movie that isn't too heavily based in fact, but has enough of the facts there to keep people interested and enjoying the elements of science that are in it. Get over yourself, Jordan. Really, please, just get over yourself. And to be honest, I don't think I can take any more of Jordan's bullshit. So, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed already. And don't forget to do the little bell so that you know when I bring out new content. And please, guys, please, if you happen to watch a Jordan video, please don't choke on the selfie stick. was a new disease that had sprung up that had attacked. It had fucking attacked